Okay, so I'm live here, second live ever, and let's see if anybody joins. So, what I'm talking about is mostly, um, how I came to the Philippines. And for me, I had a lot of bad things happen to me in the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years, several years, and everything just kind of fell apart and I had to rebuild my life unexpectedly, and it was um, it was a challenge. But throughout that whole process, it brought me closer to the Creator. I had really no one to lean on other than God. Um, the relationship that I had fell apart, and of course, when you're involved in a relationship, you have friends, but most of the friends were mutual friends of my ex. And I had, I didn't really have anybody but myself. And um, there was really no family members. Both of my parents are deceased, and it wasn't, um, it wasn't a good time. So I just focused on my relationship with God and leaning on Him. And I asked Him to show me the path. And for quite a long time, He wasn't showing me that path. I think He wanted me to work on myself, work on my relationship with Him. And so that's pretty much all I could do. So when I was working, I had a kind of a contracting position where I spent a lot of time in my vehicle, and I would do a lot of praying, and I would go out on the streets and meet a lot of people. And hey, JK Ryder, I'm good. How about yourself? Thanks for joining. Um, so today I'm just talking about how Philippines was a gift to me, and how um, everything that has happened since I've arrived here has just confirmed all of that. That's good. I'm glad you're fine. So, where are you from, J.K. Ryder? I think he signed off or lost connection. And that's the thing too. It's raining really, really hard here right now. So hopefully this is coming through, without any glitches. Pakistan. Wow. How did you find me on YouTube? Do you just search for um, places in the Philippines, or have you ever been to the Philippines? So, anyways, yes, you have been to the Philippines. Well, that's great. Philippines is an amazing country. It'll change your life, that's for sure. I I've been here before in the past. Yeah, I like the Philippines a lot because I've been here in the past, and then stayed here for quite some time, and then I moved back to the United States, and really involved in Filipino culture and the Philippine community there. And when my relationship fell apart, I really, really missed it. And I wanted to come back here so badly. And then the coronavirus happened. And of course, I didn't want to travel throughout that time, um, and go through all the hassles of it. And so I stayed home, but I missed it. And I kept praying. I was like, God, show me the way, the path, and um, please, or um, I'm not sure, but yeah, um, Philippines was the path just opened. I Please what, J.K. Um, and everything that I was praying for just led me to the Philippines, and then I met Lily, my wife, and we started talking, and we just because I was praying for the Lord to, if it was His will, to bring me someone who um, He wanted me to be with, and almost right off the jump, then Lily appeared. So it was quite a blessing, and I didn't know, having everything fall apart on me. I didn't really know what direction I should go, if it was right for me to go to the Philippines, if I should stay and work and build up. I had a rental property that was, paying for itself, and I was kind of leery about leaving that. But my finances just started to really, really improve, and I worked hard, and everything just fell into place. And I thank God, for His for His influence and His guidance to be able to open up the avenue for me to come here. And ever since I've been here, it's just been a blessing. One of the things that Lily and I'm from the United States, JK. Yeah, I'm born and raised in the U.S., but I've traveled pretty extensively. Not a lot of my life. In fact, I was afraid to fly my whole life. I had a really good job when I was in my 20s, and one of the bonuses that I got from the owner of this facility that I was managing was a trip to Hawaii, and I turned it down. I didn't want to fly on an airplane. I was afraid of it, and he thought that I was crazy. And what do I do? Well, I've done a lot of things in my lifetime, but most recently I was subcontracting for a food airplane. Airplane. No, I don't work on airplanes. I'm just talking about how I used to have a fear of flying. So I turned down this trip to Hawaii that, would have probably been phenomenal, but I was such a chicken that I didn't want to fly on airplanes. And so I didn't do it. I turned it down. So then, kind of a funny story. So I do a lot of mining, and I had driven up through Canada to go to Alaska. And it was a trip that I took up to Alaska, and I mined the whole summer up there. And towards the end of the trip, everything started falling apart, and I had to leave Alaska really, really fast. And I had a family member with me, and we decided that he would drive the truck back, and I would split and go on an airplane. Now, remember, I was extremely afraid of flying. This is in my mid-30s. And so I hopped on the plane in Alaska, and I flew back to the United States, and it was a not very long flight from Alaska to the States. And when I took that trip, I realized how silly I was for being afraid. So Alaska changed and wiped away my fear. And shortly thereafter, that's when I hopped on a plane and came to the Philippines for the first time. And it's funny too, because I didn't even know about the Philippines. Like, I'd heard about, younger in the 80s, in the late 80s, there was the Marcos thing, and it was on Phil Donahue and all these shows that don't exist anymore, and they were talking about it. And that was the only time I ever heard about the Philippines. I didn't know anything about the people, the culture, or anything. So I started researching it, of course, thinking, where can I go? Because I wanted to go somewhere cool. I had money, and I had, opportunity, and I had a passport and stuff. So I decided that I would go to the Philippines, and that's when I started reading about it. That's when I met some people, and that's how I first came to the Philippines. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So when back to what I was saying originally. So the Philippines changed me for the better, and when my relationship fell apart, um, I still had the pull. I was still really wanting to be around that. It was like living here for a long stretch of time um, showed me what life was kind of all about. And I didn't feel any of that in the United States at all. So when I went back to the United States and I was still involved with a Filipina, and we were doing, Filipino things and eating Filipino food, but I just missed living here. Never before had I ever experienced some of the phenomenal things that I experienced while I was living in this country. So a lot of people that I knew thought I was crazy because I started saying, "Well, I'm going back to the Philippines," um, and they were saying, "Why would you do that after a Filipino basically ruined your whole life?" And I said, it has nothing to do with the country. The country is amazing, and that's the thing about it. I always tell guys, you got to get out of the States and you got to come here and experience it. And you can never fully grasp it until you actually do come here. If you've never been here before and you're hearing people say how amazing it is and how phenomenal the people are and the country and the weather and all these glorious things that you hear people say, you cannot fully grasp it until you're actually in it. And once you're involved in this country and you're submersed in the culture and everything is when you will truly feel what all these vloggers are telling you. And it's so true. The Philippines will change you. If you, like I do, I don't like living in a condominium with a bunch of expats and things like that, or in a subdivision where there's all kinds of Americans or Westerners. To me, that's not why I'm here, and maybe that's great. Maybe I would enjoy that if I did it long term. However, to me, when you're around the local Filipinos, that's when you experience life in the Philippines. I mean, you get all the tips and tricks, and you get the food and the local foods, and you experience the parties and everything that comes with it. And that's when you fully understand how amazing it is to live here. So for me, living, with a bunch of expats around, I've never really done that. So maybe I would enjoy it. But the expats that I have met, I kind of keep them at arm's length because, they're complainers. They complain about everything. It seems as though they don't even want to be here, half of them. So to me, I'm baffled by the experience of hanging out with the expats. So when I was first here, I lived in an apartment and all my neighbors were Filipinos. I started seeing the kindness and the generosity of people who had less than me. They would invite me into their homes. They would want to cook for me and do things for me and dote on me. And just the love. And it was reciprocal. Like I would do things for them and they would do it back tenfold, So that's what I missed when I was in the States, was just that how they would embrace me. And some people are, hi, Dot Connector. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Some dot Connector says some people are happy when they're unhappy. And it's so true. And a lot of times they don't even realize what they're doing to themselves. They become complacent and they miss out on what life is really about. So for me, this time around, when I came here, I could have lived anywhere. I had a good amount of money in my bank account, and I could have lived a lot higher brow than I am. But that's not what I enjoy. I started looking on Facebook Marketplace for apartments. I looked I saw areas that I thought would be cool. I looked on Google Earth, which is absolutely amazing. I didn't rent this apartment that I'm in before I came here, but I saw a place right down the road from here, and I was looking on Google Earth, and I thought, what is this place? It's called Cordova, and it's right outside of Cebu City. So I was able to go on Google Earth and track it and walk up and down the streets and see all the places. I thought that looks like a really cool barangay to hang out in. I think I want to go there. So, I had been, like I said, doing a lot of reflection, and I was praying about it, and so when I actually got here and had my feet on the ground, I still didn't really have a place secured, and I was staying in a hotel in Cebu City called, what was that place called? Harold's or something like that. I don't remember. I have to look it up, but it's so I was staying there, and I got online and I hooked up with Facebook Marketplace, and there were two places available that I had my eye on. First place we went to, and I didn't like it, and the second place was Baobao Cordova. And it's funny, when I was Google Earthing, once we got to Baobao Cordova, I actually recognized it from seeing it on Google Earth, and I'm like, wow, this is the place that because I was trying to rent that place remote location when I was still in the United States. And they weren't very open to doing that because I wasn't here yet. So that place became unavailable. When we got here to look at this area, it was the area that I saw on Google Earth. So the price was right. The neighbors were absolutely friendly. Everything just kind of came into a line. So I know that it was just kind of meant to be. So Dot Connector asks, can you get a Western style apartment there for 100 or less, like some expats say? I would think probably not for 100. My place is $80 a month, but it's pretty small. And as far as it doesn't really have a kitchen per se, like you would be used to. Like here is my my kitchen area, which is essentially, it's just a sink with a tiny 2 feet of counter space. So there's no real room to fit a stove or anything. In fact, we just have a little hot, I forget what you call it, like a hot plate, but it's got 2 burners on it, and we have it on a table over there. So for $100, it's probably going to be a stretch. Although a place came available down the road for me. It was, how much was that? It was 8,000 pesos, which is, what is that? 150-ish, 160. So in that range, you can come close to a Western style apartment. But, everything's different. Like, showers are different. The bathroom, or, they call it CR, is not going to be what you're used to. To pay for those types of things, you're looking at, upwards of maybe 10K peso. I don't know. To me, I've done a lot of camping, and I love the outdoors, and I've spent months and months and months, like I was saying earlier before you signed on, in Alaska, mining for gold. And I just lived in an army style tent for 4 or 5 months, and I learned to live on, bare minimum. So, and this is not to say I didn't have money. I had a, 2,500 square foot home on a half acre, and it was, I remodeled it really nice. So, I lived kind of in a really nice place, but I also didn't really care about those kind of things. So being here, to me, people will say that I'm cheap or I'm a minimalist or whatever, which maybe I kind of am, but not so much. I don't need it. Like, this has everything I need. It has a bedroom right back there. There's a CR, nice area to cook in. I've got fridge. I don't have a stove, so I don't do any baking or anything like that. But for me, I don't need it. Like, I cook my own chicken. I can boil it. I can fry it. Fish, I just mostly eat chicken and fish, and I don't need any baked kind of goods. It'd be nice to like bake some chicken or do like a more Western style recipe where you bake something, broil steaks or something like that. But really, it's a stretch, especially in my area, to find a good steak anyways. So ovens aren't really a necessity. But after my wife has the baby, we're going to be looking, to rent a home with a yard and whatnot. That's down the road, but eventually we will upgrade and live more of a swanky lifestyle. But for now, this suits us just fine. It suits me. And, to her, this place is a luxury because, it's pouring down rain right now. I mean, cats and dogs, we went out and we got caught in a flood, walking in 2 feet of water to get back here. And, if she was living up in the province where she was from, she'd be soaking wet right now and they'd be huddled in a corner. So this is, like a mansion to her. So, I don't need much. I'm not the kind of guy that, focuses on those things. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're excited about the baby. We, that's one of the things that the reason why I got involved with the Filipina, 10 years ago is because I was just turning 40 and I wanted to have a kid. Unfortunately, it turned out that she was unable to have kids, or probably fortunately, because that relationship was extremely toxic. And in the end, the kid would have suffered. So that's a blessing that we probably, didn't have a kid. But, everything, got in line this time around, in the absolute perfect of ways. So with her, it's amazing. I'm older now, so I'm a little bit leery about that, but a lot of guys come here and they have kids and they're older than me. So, I'll be, pushing 70 when the kids, going to college. So that's a little unusual, a little unconventional as far as like Western standards, but I'm not, living a Western lifestyle. So, everything happens the way that it's supposed to happen if you're following the right path and you're living on the narrow path like I am. And I feel like everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen as long as I stay on the narrow path. There's a broad path and there's a narrow path, and I'm walking the narrow path. So fortunately for me, I have that compass that I didn't have before, because I think that's the primary reason why my first relationship fell to it, or had its demise, was because I wasn't walking on the narrow path. And in fact, I was resisting even the broad path. So now I have more of a moral compass that has guided me through things, and I lean on it and depend on it. And it's, I'm being, not rewarded for it, but everything is happening more in line the way that it should. So that's a blessing. But so are you still, I don't know if you're still on Dot Connector, but if you are, when are you coming to the Philippines? Maybe he signed off. Kind of a lag. I don't know if my connection is good with all this bad weather. But anyway, so as I was saying before, when everything falls apart and you don't have much family and you don't have, a social life going, it can be a pretty humbling existence. And fortunately for me, my faith and my devotion opened up the avenue for me to return here. And, I think maybe I was overthinking things a lot. I think maybe I was, in just a kind of a negative place. Hey, George, good morning to you. It's nighttime here. But yes, absolutely. I keep the faith, and fortunately, that was kind of a prerequisite to me this time around. Was I didn't want to involve myself with someone who didn't have a life that reflected her beliefs. And with Lily, her life reflects, her belief system, and she's a good kind of moral reminder. She's very faithful and she's devoted, and she keeps me keeps my focus in line, just because it's part of her personality too. So God was a prevailing factor in my in my ability to be able to come here. Everything came into a line. I knew that I wanted to come back here, but I didn't know if everything was going to happen. The coronavirus was going down, and Philippines was in quarantine, and I didn't know even if my ability to come here was possible. But I also knew and know, just from being involved in the Philippines for over a decade now, that tourism is an important part of their economy. And I knew that they were hurting, and they would want that to open up again. So I waited, the couple of years, and when she and I were, really getting serious, I just picked a date, and I said, well, I'm going to come in January, and I bet you by then all the quarantines will be lifted. So I bought the plane ticket way in advance, praying and hoping that, but January just seemed right. I don't know why I picked January. So I did, and I bought the plane ticket, and about 3 months before I was scheduled to fly out, the restrictions started to be lifted. So it seemed like, another meant to be kind of thing. Some kind of influence was guiding my path on that. So I was able to come here, and not deal with any of those things. No quarantines, no nothing. So it was really fortunate. I felt really blessed to have that ability. And, I didn't want to do any of those things. I didn't want to get the shot. I didn't want to, have to go through, the 7 days or 10 days of staying in a hotel and getting tested and all those things. God just kind of opened those things up for me. He gave me the date and the time to choose when to come here. And when I came here, I didn't have to deal with any of that. So it was phenomenal and a blessing. So now that I'm here, it could have turned out, January is a good month to go in the Philippines, Fury says. Sunny weather starts January to April. May to December is rainy season. Yeah, and we went out today and got soaked. My hat is still wet. And earlier I posted a video of me singing in the rain, and it's pouring down rain. We were walking in 2 feet of water on our way back here because the streets were flooded, and she's freezing, oh, it's so cold. And the dog, his Filipino dog, still cold. But me, I'm like, I'm loving it because it's cooler, and I come from a snowy area where it's very, very cold. So the rain never bothered me. It never has bothered me. And in fact, I love it. I love when it rains. To me, it's like free air conditioning. And in fact, we were up at the barbecue place, and they were saying, aren't you so cold? We're going to close. And I'm like, no, I love it. It's great. And they're like, you need an umbrella. I don't need an umbrella. I'm still wet. and it doesn't bother me at all. It feels like, a nice, refreshing reprieve from all the heat. So the rain doesn't bother me here, and the rainy season doesn't bother me either. But yeah, January was a good month. It was very hot, but for me, it was a little bit too hot. I don't do air conditioning. I don't do that. I just have an electric fan, and I find that what I do a lot is I actually get my clothing wet and then I sit in front of a fan. And so, it was already kind of rainy season for me by my own design. So yeah, I love it. I love it hot. I love it in the rainy season. There's not, I don't have, like a lot of people, I don't have anything negative to say about the Philippines. I just don't. So many people have so many criticism about the infrastructure and who knows, they have a laundry list of different things that bother them about living here in the Philippines. And to me, I'm flabbergasted. I don't understand it. I don't know why you would even come here. I mean, maybe the pros outweigh their cons. It's kind of like a trade-off or something. But for me, I have no cons. If any con that I have is sometimes I get too hot, when I first came here, I would get a little bit irritated with the lines and those things, but it was mostly because I wasn't adapting, and I was, holding on to a lot of the Western kind of customer service and those things. And here, I started to realize that I loved it so much that those things just started to erode, and I didn't care about them anymore. I don't care that, like the other day, we went to a government office and we spent almost 5 hours getting these papers, doing this and paying this fee and doing that. And I don't have a clue as to what they're saying, but I'm just sitting there and I'm just happy to be far removed from all the crud that is going down in the United States. I mean, the United States is inundated with, I call it, a negative influence. I think, there's the devil is running rampant over there, and here it's just completely different. So I embrace every moment, and every moment here is a gift to me. And now that Lily is pregnant, there's a pretty significant chance that I'm going to have to go back and work for 3 months and take care of some problems that I have in the States. So I'm hoping that I have a couple of things that I'm trying, and I'm hoping one of them will be successful and I wouldn't have to do that. But, more than likely I will. And I'm just dreading that notion of having to return, because that would be awful. I don't want to do it at all. I don't want to set foot another minute in the United States. I just don't want to be involved in it. Before I came here, I was subcontracting up in Washington, and the drug addicts and the crime and everything, my neighbors' vehicles, fortunately for me, mine didn't, but they were getting their windows smashed. 3, 4, 5 of my neighbors within the course of 2 months got their cars broken into and everything stolen. There were robberies and burglaries in the neighborhood, and it just was terrible. I don't want to be involved in that ever again. But I may have to go return. I have a rental property, and the tenant there is giving me some grief, and there's some work that needs to be done. So I don't want to do that remotely. I might have to, go back and oversee that, get some electrical stuff fixed. And Angel Perez says, "God bless you always, sir." Well, thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. And God bless you as well. He's faithful and he's good. And if you lean on him, he will guide your path and show you the way. So anyways, hopefully I don't have to do that, but it's looking like I probably will have to. And but then that'll be my last hurrah there. Sparing any disasters. I'm just going to keep renting that place out and have that paying for itself. Fury says, "Stay safe and good luck with your happy family, sir. I think America right now is so chaotic and the politics so overwhelming to deal with." Yeah, I mean, it is. The United States used to be so different, and that's why I made that video about 10 reasons why Filipinos should not move to the United States, because a lot of people still believe that America is that victory land, and it is that land of milk and honey. And the sad reality is the United States is falling apart. And if you live in a rural area, you still kind of avoid all those things. But I had to live, after the demise of my relationship, I had to move to, a bigger city to make money. And it was a nightmare. It was your literal nightmare. I lived up in Washington near Seattle, and the drugs and the crime were just so overwhelming. I mean, you can't walk down the street. You can't go into the store without some drug addict or something drug related being right in your face. And here you don't feel any of that. There's the random guy and they say, oh, he's a drug addict or whatever, but it's not the same. It's not the same. There's not 10, 15, 20 homeless people standing on the street corner with signs saying, give me money, and coming up to you and asking you and putting you in a position where, you're now engaging with a drug addict. It's not that way here. So it's everything about living here is just so refreshing. It's just such a blessing to be far removed from all that terrible stuff. Sorry, I got a banana. And that's another thing too. Bananas here are amazing. Like, I don't know what's going on with the bananas in the United States, but you can never find a good one. But bananas here are amazing. So anyways, it's a blessing for me to be here. It's a blessing for me to have made all this work in the swift amount of time that it took me to make enough money to do it. And it was just all by design. I had the helping hand, and I had the faith, and I stayed devoted, and it all just fell into place. It was amazing. It was phenomenal. So I thank God every day for bringing me here. And that's what I was saying too. Before I came here, God was blessing me so much that I couldn't believe it. Like, I was making money hand over fist, and that never happened to me before. But I told Lily, I said, when we get here, I want to do things, with this extra money that we that I've been blessed with. And I'm not going to go into details of what I've been doing, because I'm not a braggart, and I don't really want to pat myself on the back. But I do a lot of things, small things that help people here, and I know that God gave me the ability to be able to do that. He blessed me with good finances, and he blessed me with the ability. He puts people in my path that absolutely appreciate and need it. And there's been several times here where, I'll see someone, and I'll just know, there'll be a voice saying, that person needs help them. So I do little things, but I'm not going to go into detail about it. It's just, it's something that I do on a regular basis. And God put me here and blessed me. So I'm going to, also bless others or not bless them, but I'm also going to try to help others when the opportunity arises. So I do things, along those lines. And, but, I won't get into the specifics of it, but it was an important factor that once I came here that I was going to try to help people. And that's what I've been doing as I go. I'm not talking about, significant things, but things that, will improve their lives. I do what I can. So that's a blessing. And that was by design, and those things haven't waned at all. I'm going to continue to try to do those types of things as they present themselves to me. But eventually, here in the next couple weeks, I'm going to be probably going either to Davao or Masbate. And Davao, those two areas specifically are kind of on my radar because of what I want to try. So hopefully, as I get closer to that, something will open up, and it'll give me the ability to help some other people too. I want to grow my channel at least to the point where I can generate some income from it, and I don't know if that'll happen or if that's God's will, but he'll open up that path if it's his will. But I know that as I progress through, eventually I will get monetized and on YouTube, and I'll generate some income from it. But it would be phenomenal if I could get up to like 7,000 subscribers or something like that, to where it would pay a little bit, because the more I make from, the more income I have, the more ability I'd have to help others, because I'm not getting any younger, and it's like I posted the other day, love the neighbor as you love yourself, and I want to be able to help others, as I'm still capable. Furry says Davao is safe and more organized. Yeah. That's where Duterte was, and he kept it pretty safe. And I know a guy, been talking to a guy that lives there, and he has nothing but good things to say about it. So I might go there, but Masbate is really kind of calling me to go check it out. So and it's a quicker ferry ride from here to Davao. It's 22 hours on a ferry. So I don't know if I really want to take that journey or not. And I could fly, but I don't know, maybe in the future. But Masbate is a lot closer, and it's a little bit more appealing because there isn't, the terrorist kind of fear. Because I would go to Davao as kind of a starting point, but then I would be branching out into the areas that are a little, said to be anyways, a little bit less safe. So Masbate, I can roam a little bit more freely, and has a lot of the same attributes that I'm looking for. So I probably will go to Masbate as opposed to Davao, and just see if I can do what I want to do in Masbate. My apartment owner here has property in Masbate, in fact, and she's invited me to kind of use that as a home base while I explore a few options while I'm there. So probably Masbate will be a place that I definitely need to be going and checking out. So yeah. So anyways, when you fall at the feet of absolute desperation, you get to the point where you have nothing, and you lean on the one who has given you the ability to live and breathe and wake up and do things every day. Things, at least for me, become right. And I wasn't living right before. And, now everything has just kind of fallen into place. And I feel like my relationship is a gift from God. I feel like my ability to be here, Fury says, Masbate is good, has white sand. Yeah, I haven't really checked into that as far as like beach stuff, but there's a lot of beautiful places in the Philippines. So, but I'm not going to Masbate to really do touristy type of stuff. I'm going to Masbate to check out some interesting areas that I might be able to. I'm going there for different reasons. Let's just say that. So, but yeah, Masbate appeals to me, and I'll probably stay there for a few days and explore around and see my options. So as far as where we want to plant our feet, That's still up in the air. We don't know if we're definitely not going to be staying in Cebu City for the rest of our lives. We're going to look for land more affordable in a different province for sure, and probably build a house, because I have a pretty diverse background. I've done a lot of mining. I've done horticulture. I've done things of that nature. So I'm like a jack of all trades, but I'm not an expert in any of them. I forget the saying of that, but um, I know a little bit of a lot about everything. But I'm not an expert in one thing. Some people say that's bad or whatever, but I'm a pretty diverse background. So we want to, have a garden that sustains us. We want to raise chickens and animals. There it is, jack of all trades, master of none. That's exactly. I couldn't think of it on the fly, but it would have came to me. But that's exactly right. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. And in a way, that's negative, some people, but in a way, it's also good. So, I worked in the industry making or growing herbs, and I did it primarily for the money. I didn't do it necessarily as a passion, but it kind of became a passion because it's fascinating. I like to grow things, watch them start from small and get big, and then in the end, you go, "Wow, I did that." So that was good experience. And then with the mining that I did, and I learned how to hunt and hang out with grizzly bears and all those things. So I'm not afraid of the wildlife, and I haven't really had farm animals, but my wife, she was a goat herder her whole life. Not her whole life, but as she became a teenager and into her adulthood, she took care of goats. So we want to have like goats and chickens and your proverbial pig, not a piggery, but just one or two, just for our own personal use. So all those things are completely doable because with the knowledge between my past and hers, we can definitely facilitate those practices. And so we'll find a place where it's more affordable. And Masbate is kind of on my radar. I want to buy a place that is in a mineralized zone, and Masbate is definitely fitting that niche there. And so I'm looking for land, in those kind of areas, so that I can also, do the farming and maybe other things. Yeah. So looking forward to those things, but that's down the road. Perry says, you're going to enjoy raising chickens here if it's in your taste. Cockfighting here is nationwide, and the materials and foods are always available. Oh, yeah. I always joke when I there's this guy that lives in the area, and most of the stores, they sell chicken pellets and chicken food and stuff. And I always say, oh, that would be good in adobo. It's kind of a running joke. And so, yeah, it's readily available. You can get all those things. But yeah, when I first moved here, years back, I rented an apartment sight unseen, and the building behind my apartment was a cockfighting ring, and they had upwards of 100 roosters that they kept on site, and they were all night long. So I experienced the cockfighting and didn't get involved in it, but I observed it quite a bit and was around that. So that's for sure, Fury. That's a national pastime. So, yeah. But anyway, so for me, I kept my faith and my path, at arm's length for many, many years. And it wasn't until I got back on the right path that
things started falling into place. So I thank God for the problems that I had, the demise of my previous relationship. Just it brought me closer to Him. So I felt fortunate in the long run. When you're going through all those things, it seemed like misery and a nightmare, and I didn't know what to do. But the more that I leaned on God, and the more that I depended on Him, the better my life became. And now He's brought me back to the Philippines. He's brought me back, with a trustworthy and godly woman. And that's why I think that, me being back in the Philippines is a gift from God. So I will never think any different of it. Even, if something bad happened, that wouldn't change the fact. I feel like I'm at home. I feel like the Philippines is where I belong. And I feel like this is my forever home. I don't ever want to live and dwell in the United States ever again. And I know that God will continue to open up avenues and pathways for me to be able to accomplish the missions and the goals that I have. So I thank Him every day for everything that He's done in my life, and I always ask Him to bring people into my path that I can be a benefit to, and that's what Lee and I pray about every day. When before we eat, I say that's what I say. I say, please bring someone into my path that I can be a benefit to, and be a light and a beacon and help every day. That's what I pray, and every day there's somebody. So maybe not every day, but quite often enough, because sometimes we don't go out every day, but when we do, there's typically somebody that is in my path that I can be a benefit to. So that is my direction and path in life, and I'm enjoying it. So just being here is confirmation, of His existence, and He's given me the ability to do these things when, I was trying to lean on my own understanding, and I didn't really know what His plan was. So it's all become more illuminated as I have become more submersed. So I'm never going to live back in the United States. This is where I'm meant to be, and this is where I will be for the rest of my life. So looks like everybody's kind of signed off here, unless there's some kind of lag on my end of the internet. And so I think I'm going to sign off now. Thanks for everybody who has been watching and contributing. Oh, Fury, you're here. Yes, winning life is about winning the hearts of the people. Yes, sir. And thank you, Fury, for your contribution to this chat. God bless you, and it's nice talking to you. And thanks to everybody who chimed in and said, a few words to me. And just remember that, it's not all about us, and sometimes, there's a bigger picture. Oh, hey, Dot Connector, you are here. It's weird. It says that 0 are online. So I didn't know anybody was still here. Yeah, you do what you can. I mean, there's no, if you have the ability to help, then why not help? That's kind of where I stick with it. And, not always was I like that. And now, I realize that how important it is to try to be there for others. So thanks again, guys. I'm going to sign off now. And hopefully, I don't really know the direction of my channel. I try to offer advice and also then try to do fun things. But eventually I'll find the niche and stick to it. But to me, another person. Marichu Armodia says, thank you for choosing my country in the Philippines. The love and the beauty and watching from the UK. Oh, you're in the UK. All right, because I've seen you comment a few times recently, Marichu. All right, so so you're in the UK. Are you married over there, or are you just working? Are you OFW? Dot Connector says this is my favorite Philippines channel. Well, that's great. I know there's some really exciting channels, and I just really don't have a direction. So I just post whatever whatever feels right to me. But yeah, one step at a time. So Marichu, you are you're married, and your husband's British. So how's Britain over there? Are you liking it, the weather and the change and the difference than the Philippines? I know it gets pretty rainy over there, and if you're in certain areas, it can snow too. So yeah, I've never been to Europe, but I would like to go there someday. However, I don't know if I ever will. I'm more of a Southeast Asian kind of traveler, so I'll probably be staying on this side of the ocean. I don't know if that's geographically correct or not, but I'm pretty much Asian dwelling person. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, the weather over there is gonna never be like the Philippines. I bet you thought before you left the Philippines that you would love living in the cold area, but then once you got there, you realize what cold is really like. That's what I always tell Filipinos is like everybody wants to see snow, and it sounds so amazing, but once you feel the snow, then you realize what we've been talking about, how cold it is in snow. So, yeah. Marichu says, so expensive since after COVID, so crazy is double the price of everything. Yeah, COVID changed a lot. And that's also what people don't understand, especially if you haven't been to the Western areas and you've just been hearing about them your whole lives, and you think that, wow, it's so much more opportunity, and there's a lot of opportunity over there. And if you're able to deal with all of the things over there, and you have that work ethic, especially Filipinos. I mean, all the Filipinos that I've known that have went to the United States have absolutely prospered. Does it change them? And it changes a lot of them. It does definitely change them. But if they stick to it and they work hard, the financial opportunities are abundant. And most Filipinos have been living and working, hard here in the Philippines their whole lives. And when they go over there, the work schedule and the tasks seem almost easy to them. I've heard many people say it, and they see the homeless people, and they're like, what is wrong with these people? Why don't they work? If they just worked, their lives would be so much more improved, because they don't understand it. And it is true, Filipinos can thrive over there, but at what are they sacrificing? If they have a good head on their shoulders, then they won't sacrifice much, but it definitely will be an extremely different environment. So Marichu says she's going back to the Philippines with her kids, and it's not good because it's so expensive. Everything in here is crazy, and try to being hard work. So, so you're coming back to the Philippines, Marichu, and is it with your kids? So is your husband also coming back with you, or is it just going to be you only? Yeah, you experience it. You're there over there, and you're seeing all the crazy stuff, and and how COVID just changed everything. You know, all the small businesses in my hometown that I was born in have been destroyed. You know, look at what happened with Amazon. So Amazon became the most for a moment. Amazon was the most profitable company on the planet as COVID hit. They made so much money because everything was closed down, and everybody was ordering off of Amazon. Oh, good. So you and your husband, Marichu, are returning to the Philippines. That's great. I'm glad to hear it. The West is not the best anymore. There's that, famous Doors song where the West is the best, but it's really not true. The East is the best. Saturn 60 just joined. Hi, Saturn 60. Nice to meet you. I don't recognize your screen name. Oh yeah, I think I saw you one time before. So hi, Saturn 60. We're just talking about kind of. Initially, I was talking about how it was a blessing from God for me to be able to come to the Philippines, but it's kind of changed. Now we're just talking about whatever the commenters have to say. But welcome to the chat, and glad to see you. So right now I'm talking to Marichu here, and she's talking about how she's going to be returning to the Philippines soon because she lives in Britain. And everything has changed. And that's why I say, in my video about why Filipinos shouldn't move to the United States, it's not only the United States, it's also, most Western places. Not all Western places are like that, but especially the United States. And as Marichu is saying, over in the UK, it's also very, very bad too. So over here in the Philippines, there is inflation and there is increase in prices. But as I was reading the other day, the one thing that hasn't really increased in price is rentals. So according to the article that I was reading from, I think it was on CNN, that's the one thing that hasn't really been affected is the price of rent here in the Philippines. And just for example, when I lived here before, my apartment was 3,500 pesos, and that was, well, I was here for a couple of years, and the rent never changed the whole time I was here. So when I moved away, it was about 7 years ago. I lived there for 2.5, 3. It was 3,500 pesos, and now I'm paying 4,000 pesos, but this apartment is a little bit bigger than that. So in the 10 years, the rental prices hasn't even really changed. So Saturn 60 says, Philippines is a tease for me right now. I'm 35 and to come to the Philippines to date, but don't have the income part sorted out. Well, you're still young, man, and you have a lot of time to get it sorted, but definitely if you can visit as much as you can and just give yourself a break from all that hustle and bustle in the United States. I mean, if you can somehow, I don't know what your employment is, but if you can somehow swing the ability to come here for like a month, and this can be a good thing or a bad thing, because if you stay here for a month, you're never going to want to leave, and going back will be such a kind of deflating experience. But at the same token, it's nice to give yourself a reprieve, So if you can come here as much as possible, Saturn, in the meantime, and still be saving money, then your psyche and everything will significantly improve, because I don't know what your opinions are, but and a lot of people don't even realize, how saturated they are in negativity living in the West. But once they come over here, then they really feel the contrast. It's a significant contrast. You begin to feel a weight lifting off of your shoulders, the weight that you didn't even really feel you had, But once you're here, if you're adaptable, if you don't hold on to the Western ways when you come here, and you just enjoy the experience, then you will feel that weight be lifted off of you the more time you stay here. So definitely Saturn, if you can get over here, intermittently throughout the next few years of your life, soak your feet, get your feet wet, and experience, different areas, different times of the year. Like right now it's the rainy season, and then you got the summer season where it's really hot. Feel them both out, the Philippines will infect you, and eventually you're never ever going to want to live anywhere else but. So Marichu says Philippines is so cheap than other country like Europe. Definitely. It's much more affordable here. Your money goes further, and which is great, because then that gives you the ability to help others too, which is important. It's really important. If you have the blessing of being able to make more money in another country, and then you come here and you see people who, can't even afford to buy, a pork stick barbecue, why not come here and help that person? If you're in line at the barbecue and you see somebody and they're looking over and they're asking for prices and they're looking at their money, buy them the food. That's what I do. I'll see somebody who's scraping together stuff and they've already ordered, and I'll tell them, hey, I got that, So, if you have the ability to help others with the income that you have as being a blessing in a more richer, kind of environment, and your salary's higher, and then you come over here, do what you can. And yeah, but I'm not trying to pat myself on the back at all. I see a lot of people, making videos and talking about what they do for others, and just do it. Be humble. You don't need to talk about it, but yeah, the opportunities to help people will open themselves up to you, and just be open to them, and help when you can. So yes, Marichu, it definitely is a blessing to be in the Philippines. That's kind of the theme of this. And you miss all the foods that are in the Philippines, and much more fun in the Philippines. Yes, that's probably, I know, knowing Filipinos that lived in the United States when I lived there, there's not very many options for Filipino foods. The fruit is different, the veggies are different, the people are different. There's nothing familiar, so that becomes a huge pull, is the Filipino food. So now that you're coming back, Marichu, at least you get to experience all your favorites. So that'll be great for you for sure. So absolutely. So Fury says your partner would be happy if you call her Langa. Is that Tagalog or Bisaya? I don't know. That's one of the things I learned. Not a lot of Tagalog when I lived here before, but now that I'm down in Cebu, they speak Bisaya. So the things that I learned up in Luzon don't really apply to Cebu. Oh, it is Bisaya. Did I say it right? Lenga? Probably not. Lenga. I don't know. I'm learning. I'm not really adept at the language, but and like I said, I still get them intermixed with Tagalog and Bisaya, but eventually I'll learn it, because I'm not going to live anywhere else. Robert Price just joined. Hey, Robert. Flying to Manila on August 1st for the first time. Can't wait. Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. So are you going to be staying in Manila, or is, you got a different destination in mind after you land there? I always say, like, a lot of guys, they land in Manila and then they don't branch out. To me, I didn't like Manila when I was there before. I stayed there for a while, and then I came back to do some paperwork there and the K1 visa and stuff. And to me, Manila was just too crowded. And a lot of people like the bigger cities like that, but me, I didn't like it at all. I mean, if 4 hours waiting on a freeway in a taxi, wasn't having it. So I enjoy the smaller areas. People say Cebu has bad traffic. Quite frankly, I don't dig the larger areas. So Robert Price says, spending 30 days in the Philippines, I gotta bounce around. I plan on visiting Subic Bay, Cebu, and Dumaguete. Awesome. Well, hey, if you come down to Cebu, message me, and I got an email on my profile page there. It's philippinesextremes@gmail.com. Drop me an email, and we'll have lunch or dinner or something. That'd be great. But yeah, you definitely travel around and experience all the different areas of the Philippines, because it's not all the same, and there's so many different things to do. And Maria, hey Maria, I was just talking about how we were down to buying barbecue down there. We got super duper wet, but our food stayed dry. Thanks for all those plastic bags. Yeah, Manila is very, very busy, and there's a lot of markets there. But Saturn asked, what is your opinion on foreigners owning a car in the Philippines? I know Grab is cheap, but I can't get comfortable having to rely on someone else anytime I want to go somewhere. For me, and this is just my personal opinion, I ride a motorcycle. Now, here's the thing about motorcycles is in the Philippines, more foreigners have died in motorcycle crashes, and it's actually the number one cause of death. But I ride a motorcycle, and the reason why is driving here is a lot different in a car, especially. Well, in a motorcycle too, but motorcycles are more mobile, and you can cruise around, you can avoid all the traffic. But in a car, people are going to cut you off, and you'll have a motorcycle on one side of you, and then a semi truck, and it's like you're sandwiched in between all these things. And to me, I wouldn't want to drive in a car. I would prefer to have a scooter or a motorcycle, but it's not everybody's taste. It's not something that they enjoy doing, is riding a motorcycle. But I know a lot of guys who do own cars. You just go slower, you take your time, and you don't, and you just have to have a lot of patience and familiarize yourself. If you're going to drive a car, especially if you're not new at it, I would say just go super slow, or get a motorcycle. But in my opinion is, I personally would not prefer to have a car. That's just not. Sorry, I'm getting bit by a mosquito. Yeah. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. But I know a lot of guys on forums and stuff, and that's all they talk about is how they wouldn't own a motorcycle, and they prefer driving a car. But I'm the opposite. I like the freedom of the motorcycle because, you get in these long lines of traffic, and you can bypass it all on a motorcycle, and you're way in the back of the line waiting at a red light, and by the time it turns green, you're already up in the front. So I dig that. That's awesome. What time is it in the Philippines now? Well, let me check here. It's 10:15 p.m. in the Philippines. Maria says, yeah, you enjoyed a lot than a car. Absolutely. I like the motorcycle better than the car. Of course, in the rainy season, a car keeps you drier than a motorcycle. But yeah, I still prefer a motorcycle over it. To me, the rain doesn't bother me. It's like I was telling Maria earlier. It was pouring down rain, and everybody was cold, but I'm like, woohoo, this is great. All of a sudden I'm not as hot, because even in the rainy season, it's still hot here.
So the rain is like a breath of fresh air to me. So it doesn't bother me at all. I prefer the rain, really. It makes it cooler. So Saturn asks, grab an option for a 2 to 3 hour day trips, like from Cebu to Mobile or even Oslo. Yeah, absolutely. But if you Google prices, actually a metered taxi is actually the cheapest way to travel, as opposed to a Grab or an Uber or whatever. But if a metered taxi is actually more affordable than Grab, but you can get a Grab, and they'll take you anywhere. Absolutely. So you can do the Grab, but I take taxis. Like when I was getting my teeth done, I had to go across into Cebu City. I'm about Marichu asked if I still live in Cebu. Yes, I live in Cebu, just outside of Cebu City. So a lot of times when I had to go get my teeth fixed, when I was getting my teeth fixed, we had to ride taxi because it was the quickest and easiest way. We could have rode jeepneys and other things, and we didn't have a motorcycle at the time. So we would ride a taxi, and I never had any problems. You know, you hear the foreigners always saying, you know, the taxi guy will rip you off, and he'll want to, you know, charge you more. And I'm experienced in the Philippines, so what I do is I just, you know, I say where I want to go, and the guys will they'll let you know if they're going to try to be felonious or not right off the jump. But most of them are not, and they set the meter. You just make sure when you get in a taxi that the meter is set, and you have no more problems. And in the end, that's when I give them a tip. And yeah, I still live in Cebu, and I will continue to live in Cebu until we decide where we're going to live more permanent. But that's, you know, down the line. Not gonna move from Cebu for months, maybe a year plus. But I like Cebu. Yeah, Marichu, we could definitely meet. That would be great. I don't know when you're coming here, but just get a hold of me, and I'd love to meet. I'm meeting one of my subscribers is coming here in August, and we're gonna have lunch. So I'm completely open to helping and meeting people when they arrive, and to me it sounds great and fun. So just send me an email at philippinesextremes@gmail.com, and we can start talking about it. Definitely, just send me an email. So Saturn asks, is there an app for hailing taxis or flag down only? You know, I don't know. I'm not the most app savvy person, but I just flag down taxis. You know, just like if you're in New York or something, you just taxi, and you know, if they don't have passenger, then they'll stop. But yeah, that's how we got to Cebu every day. We would just get down to the main road down there and just flag a taxi down, and you know, when we're like, we get to if they pick you up in a neighborhood, then they already know that you're experienced, so they're not really going to try anything like felonious as far as the fare or anything like that. But if they pick you up at a mall, that's when a couple of times you say, hey, I'm going to a Balbar Cordova, for example, and they'll say a price outside of their mouth. I pass on that taxi. I say, no thanks, and I just hail down another one and get in Balbar Cordova. If they say anything like, oh, 500 or whatever, then get out. That's what I do, you know. And it's not like you can't do that. So, you know, you're in control of your own fate and destiny. So get out. But only when they pick you up at the mall do they tend, or someplace like that. They think you might be a naive foreigner. So you might run into that a little bit, but you just say meter,
and they turn on the meter. If they refuse to turn on the meter, then get out. And it's kind of a little bit of a hassle, but not really. I mean, you weigh the pros and cons. You're in the Philippines, man, and the Philippines is phenomenal. So are you going to run into a little bit of that here and there? Maybe, maybe not. But always just say the meter, and you're usually fine. I'm sure there is an app for it, but I don't, guys. I don't have load on my phone. When I leave this apartment, I don't have any connection. We just go do our thing. We don't pay attention to social media when we're out and about. And when we come home, that's when I sign in to my YouTube and I see if I have any questions or comments available. So yeah, I mean, that's the freeing thing too about being here is I don't keep abreast of the politics or anything. Like I said, I don't really have much family there. So I'm not in the United States, so I'm not really hearing any news or any dramas or anything like that. It's just I'm completely free of all that stuff. And it's just like a weight is lifted off your shoulder when you do that. When you come here, you if you choose to not expose yourself to the news of the States, then all of those things will just be lifted off of your shoulders. It's like a breath of fresh air. So Marichu says, maybe going to Cebu by drive from Davao to Cebu. Boy, I was talking about that earlier. That's like a 22-hour ferry ride from Cebu to Davao. So good luck with that. I was saying I'd probably take an airplane, but yeah, for sure I'm not going to be doing that for, not going to Davao for months, if not maybe a year. When Lily has the baby, then, it's going to be harder for us to travel. So we want to at least go check out some places before she gets, too far along in the pregnancy or having the baby. I just noticed I have a piece of pepper in my teeth. Anyways, so whatever. So, there's so much amazing things to do. So Saturn, when you get here, just have a good open mind and a good attitude, and the Philippines will treat you the way that you want to be treated and then some. You can't really grasp it until you actually finally come here. Everything sounds so great, but when you finally experience it, it's 10 times better than you've heard. When people say things about the Philippines and how wonderful the Filipinos are, you can't grasp it until you're actually in it and feeling it. And I can't even begin to articulate it. It's indescribable. Everything just becomes clear when you experience it for yourself. Yeah, I'm sure you do miss it, Marichu. So, but you'll be here soon, and then you get to experience it again. And that's the thing. This is your home, and you need to be back in it because this is the best place on earth. Fury says I should learn guitar for leisure. Well, that's the thing. When I was, in my teens and early 20s, I was in a rock band, a singer. And I tried to learn guitar, but I just wasn't any good at it. I can play, some simple chords and do a few songs, but I'm not really good at musical instruments. But I was a singer for many years, and I sang, throughout my life in various avenues. And so I have musical passions, but I'm not very good at guitar. Yeah, so when you get here, Marichu, get in contact with me. So Saturn says he's mentally prepared himself for the two things that will bother him the most, which is humid heat and jeepney exhaust. Yeah, the humidity is one of the biggest challenges for a lot of Westerners. And, I talk it down like it's not, like it's adaptable, but it can be brutal. It really can be brutal. Like, you do get used to it, but you're like me, I sweat all the time. Like even on a day where it's cloudy and not super hot, just walking around in it um, and it can be a factor for sure. And the jeepney exhaust, I mean, it's not as bad as people make it out to be, unless you're in like when you land in Manila, and if you spend time there, you'll see more of a smog kind of atmosphere. But if you're in like in my neighborhood, there's jeepneys and stuff, but it's not bad. I don't notice it. So I don't think that will be, depending on where you're at. I don't think that'll be such a factor. But yeah, contact me, Marichu, and I'd even be, if you were willing, I'd interview you for my channel. That would be fantastic. So, but we don't have to do that. We can just meet up for lunch or something like that too. But just send me an email when you're ready, and we'll talk about it. That'd be great. So, but yeah, Saturn, you're gonna love it here. It's gonna change your life. So, most definitely, absolutely. Yes. So, not really sure what I was saying before that, but I just know that a lot of you guys have been talking about how you're coming here, and I feel happy for you. I really do, because as Marichu, she's from here, so that's gonna, be a homecoming. She already knows how it is here. But you guys that have said you're coming here and you're coming here for the first time or you have never been, yeah, you're gonna love it. So Saturn asks, this is a very option-based question, but do Filipinos ignore being overweight like they ignore age gaps? Okay. Well, let me tell you, there are a lot of Westerners that come here that are 300 pounds plus. Okay. And I'd rather, sorry. So, yes, that is something that is not a huge factor. If you go to a smaller area, and I don't know if this is still the case, but when I was up in the provinces and the population was really low, some of them looked at overweight people as being rich, because if you're overweight, that means you can eat a lot and you can afford food. So it's not really a huge issue. So mostly, if you have a good attitude and you're kind, you're going to have no problems being overweight. And make sure you take showers and you keep yourself smelling well, and that will not be a huge factor. Definitely not. And hopefully you have a sense about how you want to go about it, because you don't want to be prey. Because how can I say this? Being a Westerner, you can attract the wrong type of people, because they expect that you will have a lot of cash. But if you go about it the right way, you avoid all of that. So what I always tell people is, look for that woman that is already employed. You see her working, and maybe you think she's cute, or have some sort of connection with her, and strike up a conversation with her and see how she. Hey Majo, I tried to call you earlier because I wanted to see if you want to join me live, but I didn't get through. But yeah, we should schedule it so that we can go live together sometime. But no, I would say that being overweight is not a huge factor, and there are plenty of options, plenty of people who will accept you for who you are. But like I said, go to a mall, talk to a girl there, or I don't know. You're not going to be here too long, right? Your first trip, so. That's probably a good approach, is to try to meet somebody who's employed, and responsible. You can ask girls, you can ask the women, at a restaurant if they have, a friend or somebody who is a good person that might want to go out on a date, so they can kind of set you up that way, or, go to church. Those are how I think, the best ways to meet people without too much of a worry as far as them having ulterior motives. So Fury says, foreigner tax and jeepneys exhaust. There's more minibus nowadays. Yeah. Here they call the minibuses Sung Kong bus, and I did a video about those, and they're more eco-friendly, so they don't pollute as much, but so that helps also. And yeah, so that's an option for you for sure. Saturn is, I don't think you'll have any issues with that. And while you're here, if you eat more fruits and veggies and fish, you'll probably lose some weight too, and you do a lot more walking. So that's another benefit of the Philippines, is it helps your weight. Unless you're a food vlogger and you're out eating all you can eat all the time, you might be packing on some pounds. But if you're conscious of it, then you'll see that is a benefit of the Philippines too, is eating more fruit and healthy diet. You'll avoid all that fast food and stuff. So your health can improve also. So a lot of benefits of it. And Marichu says, not smiley faces. The people here don't smile, and they always have a hot head all the time. Yeah. See, that's definitely, and I've said this in my vlogs too, Marichu, is that people over there, they're standoffish, and they're used to others trying to beg off of them, or they're used to having drug addicts come up to them and talk to them and stuff. So people tend to keep to themselves, and they definitely, because if you smile at someone, then they feel that you're friendly and they'll come talk to you. So people have learned to just kind of keep their eyes down and to avoid others, because they don't want to deal with any of the confrontations that can come with being too friendly. So and that's the difference of being here. Everybody is smiling and they are happy, and you don't have those same kind of issues that you have when you're in the States or in the UK, like you are, Marichu. So most definitely, and that's also another reason why when you come to the Philippines, you feel this weight lifted off of your shoulders, because when you go out in the United States or the UK or any Western place, people are just head down, eyes not making contact and not smiling. Everybody's frustrated about their day and their jobs and their busy lifestyles and trying to make money and go. All of these things tend to wear down a person. But you come over here and it's the exact opposite. And you're looking around and you're wondering what's going on, but you feel it. It's palatable. You can almost taste it. It's so prevalent and predominant here. And that's another factor of why it raises your spirits. It eases that mental weight that you've had on your head that you don't even realize that you had on your head. But once you come over here, you start noticing these things. And if you're kind of an analytical person, you'll observe as to why that is. And it's just because the Western world is bogged down with so much negativity. And over here, people have real struggles here. Their struggles over here are real. As far as, some people don't even know when they're going to get their next meal. Some people don't even know if they can afford rice, And, hey, JJ, good to see you. JJ says, hello, my friend. How is pregnant fairy doing? Do you know if it's a boy or a girl yet? Well, time flies in a sense, but it really doesn't fly that much. We've only known she's pregnant for about a month and a half or something. So, no, we're not to the point where we can find out if it's a boy or a girl yet. I think that happens when she's 4 months pregnant, and I think she's about 2.5 months pregnant now. So, I mean, when I told people about it on my vlog, it was like she had just taken the pregnancy test. I mean, she missed her period, and then we did the pregnancy test. So I'm talking she was just pregnant, you know what I mean? So she's got a ways to go for all of that stuff before we find out. And I don't know if we're going to find out if we're going to find out the sex or not. And we haven't talked about it. I asked her a few times if she wants to go to the doctor and do a checkup yet, but she wants to wait for a little while longer. So we haven't even went to the checkup yet. So, but believe me, as we progress through that process, I'll be forthcoming and I'll be talking about it online for sure. Yeah. JK Ryder says, hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? So yeah, it's pretty exciting. My first relationship that I had with the Filipina, one of the primary reasons why is because I wanted to have kids. And like I said earlier, I did say this earlier, in fact, she was unable to, and that, was probably a blessing from God in and of itself, just because of the way the relationship turned out. But with her, it wasn't an issue at all. So although I am a little bit older, I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I feel pretty happy about it. So JJ says, oh, so you will make a big announcement when the time comes. God bless you too. Yeah, I'll be forthcoming about it and let people know for sure. And if people are interested, and that's going to be one of the upcoming themes is, an American having a kid in the Philippines. I'll be posting probably about that a lot. And thank you, JJ. I appreciate your support. You've been with me from the beginning and followed along. So I appreciate, your consistency, and God bless you too, bro. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm not sure what time is it now. I don't know what time to go on live because of the time differences. I know JJ's on a different time, and especially Marichu too over in the UK. But in the States, it's probably everybody's probably still sleeping over there. But I don't know. This just is a whim, kind of signed on, but yeah. So the whole point of this was just to say that the Philippines changed my life, and God had a hand in it, and that's undeniable to me. I mean, there's so many things that happened along the way to confirm that this is where God wanted me to be, and And I know that God is directing my path. Saturn says, I still have some doubt about 3-year visa extensions. Another channel said it's up to the commissioner if they'll stay. Well, I read the bill. I read the visa bill, thanks to actually one of my comment. I don't know if they're subscribed to my channel or not, but somebody came through and they made a comment. And so it gave me kind of a direction. So I went and I read the entire bill, well, as much as that pertained to, the foreigner aspect of it, the visas. And there is absolutely no mention of any change to that. The only mentions, and those are still kind of elusive, but the only mention of change would be your initial day allotment when you arrive. It was 29, and now they're saying that it would be 59. And then there's talk of there being an exit clearance. So as far as I can tell and have read and talked to people who are a lot more knowledgeable about it, the 3-year is unaffected. So don't worry about that at all. That's the thing about the Philippines is there's a lot of people that live here full time and have for decades, and they do that system. So they're not going to totally eradicate it because, not only will they lose money, but there'll be a huge backlash. So don't worry about that. No need to hope so. There's no mention of it. Zero. I read the whole thing, and I'm confident that there will be no 3-year change at all. That's for sure. And the thing about it is it's just passed through Congress. Okay, Congress is not the be all end all. It needs to make it through the Senate, and then the president has to sign it. So to put it into perspective, the last visa change bill was in 2020, I think, and I may be wrong about that, but it made it through Congress just like this one did, but then the Senate voted it down. So we're not even there yet, and even if we were, it wouldn't be any change to long-term stay at all because there's no mention of it at all. So you're good. I'm sure of that. There won't be change. And I'm disappointed in myself that I got involved in that kind of hype because I've learned over the years these things come up all the time. They're going to change this. They're going to change that. And I've been like, what? And so I paid attention and focused to it, and then it never changes. So I got sucked up into it a little bit. I don't know why, but my general approach is to always just wait and see, and it's never been any change. I mean, the tourism industry is huge here in the Philippines, and they don't really want to rock the boat, especially after the COVID thing. So I don't anticipate they're changing anything in a negative way. I think that they, if anything, they will make it easier for foreigners to come here because they lost a lot of money. I mean, the whole world lost a lot of money due to COVID, and the tourism industry just tanked all around the world. So they would be essentially shooting themselves in the foot, and they're not going to do that. So no fears. It's all good, Saturn. Don't worry about it. JJ says, when I come to the Phillies, I would love to meet you guys. Have a few things that I want to discuss with you. Can't make it public here. Would love to hear your thoughts, and maybe a door will open. Yes, JJ. I don't know when you're coming, but I have a sense of what you want to talk about, and I'm on board with you on that. I would love to meet you. I was saying earlier, I think before you signed on, that I've had several people that I'm going to be meeting with. If you want to, JJ, you can contact me via email. I posted up above. It's right at the top of my info on my main page on the YouTube. Has my email, but just for reference now, it's philippines@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, and we can talk about meeting up and anything else that you want to talk about. And that goes for anybody else too. If they want to talk to me about anything, they have maybe more personal, private questions that they don't want to ask in public. They may feel sensitive about it. I'd be filled to take on any and all questions for meetups and inquiries and information. So send me an email at philippines.extremes@gmail.com. And it's right at the top of my YouTube page there too, in my bio or information section. But you can see it right when you open the main page. So feel free. And love to hear from you. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's the thing too, people love their drama, so on the same kind of token with the visa kind of scare that came up, it blew all out of proportion. One YouTuber said the wrong thing, which was about the 3-year, and as a very informed Filipino noted, there's absolutely no mention of it in the bill. And if you read the bill, there is no mention of it. So people got all up in arms and fear and everything, and it was absolutely unnecessary because there was no threat to the visa whatsoever. So I feel kind of silly for getting involved in that a little bit, but mostly, once I read the bill, I realized that it's the same old. So no sweat there at all. I forget when you're coming here, JJ, but yeah, if you email me, let's talk about it more. But sounds great. So JJ says we'll be traveling a lot next, different countries. We'll come to the Phillies when I'm free. Don't want to be pressured for time when I'm there, Absolutely, man. I understand. And you're a busy guy. So of course, when you get the time, that'd be the best time. So just keep me informed of when you're coming around. And I absolutely would love to meet up with you. Sounds great. Most definitely. So yeah. But for sure, as I was saying at all times, whether it's, for whatever reason you come here, as long as you keep that open mind, the Philippines will uplift you, and it will remove all that extra baggage and weight, like I said before, that you probably don't even realize that you have on you. So I recommend, if you can stay long, fantastic. If you can, if it's just for a week or 2 weeks or whatever you can afford. Right now is a great time to be buying a plane ticket to the Philippines too, because it's the rainy season. And that's when it's the least expensive. Tickets are much more expensive when you come here when the weather's nice. To me, it's always nice. Like, it poured down rain here, buckets and buckets of rain, but the whole day was hot and sunny and nice. So it just rained at nighttime. So, and it doesn't, in the rainy season, it doesn't rain 24/7. Typically what it's been doing is it's funny, you can smell it in the air. The air will suddenly change, and you can feel the wind blow. And you know that in about an hour it's going to rain, and then it'll rain for its time. Most of the time it only rains for a short while, and then it goes away. Right now it's been raining for a few hours straight, but it doesn't. It's not perpetual. It's not on 24/7. It does its rain, and then it goes away. And well, when I was here before, we had like a couple of weeks where it rained quite a bit every day, and it was never really dry. But it's not cold. It's not cold here, and as long as you live in a place where it doesn't flood, it's no big deal. Now, I live kind of tucked back off the main road, and so some of these roads are just gravel and the coral from when the ocean used to be up here, and then in thousands of years ago. So the roads aren't really developed. So it gets kind of deep. You're walking in water that comes up, but after, it stops raining, that it drains and it goes away. So it's not perpetual, but it can be in a lot of places. Like where I lived before, it would rain and it, hey, oh, Randy made a comment and then he took it away. Hey, Randy, good to see you. Saw you come on here. Nice to see you join the live. It's funny, I was about to sign off, but all of a sudden more people came. So now we're just kind of riffing and talking about, whatever. But the theme of this was how me coming to the Philippines was a gift from God. So we've kind of gotten away from that. I'm giving more kind of travel advice and just talking about whatever. But yeah, so is Talisay, Minglanilla a good area to live close to the city without traffic? Well, I tell you, I made a video where Lily and I did a trip to Talisay. And Talisay seemed, in comparison to where I live in my neighborhood, it seemed more busy, more traffic. It's kind of, and I've only been there once, so don't take my word for it. But Talisay, when we drove through it, and it was, I think it was a Friday. It was pretty trafficy. So I would say that as far as traffic goes, I noticed a lot of traffic there, but it could have been due to it being the weekend. I don't know. But where we live here in Abao, the traffic is nothing, and especially if you go towards Cordova, it's and we're it's, I don't know if I can explain the layout of it. So Cebu City is on the other side of the ocean. We're on Mactan Island. So when you land in Cebu, you land on the island of Mactan. But the only difference is there's a bridge that takes you across, and then you're in Cebu. So it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and you're in Cebu City. Sorry, this is Cebu. But when you go across that bridge, you're in Cebu City. So I live down by the third bridge. They call it the third bridge, which is CC Lex. CC Lex is the longest bridge in the Philippines. It was a huge project that they built here, and it's quite an experience. I rode it on my motorcycle, and it was a fun trip across. But once you take that bridge across, you're in the heart of Cebu City. It's 7-10 minutes, and that's how far away we are from Cebu City. And I tell you, the traffic here is nothing. And if you go that way towards Cordova, towards Cordova, it becomes even less. So there's a lot of great little barangays tucked away that are right by everything, and you don't even feel the traffic at all. I personally wouldn't want to live in Cebu City just because of the population and the traffic, and the costs is on apartments is about, like, I looked at places that were the same size as mine, and it was 2,000 pesos more, to put it in perspective. So if you move out of that area into like Cordova or Babag or Mandaue or even Lapu-Lapu, and when you're saying Mandaue, Cordova, and Lapu-Lapu, you're talking about like 10 minutes. I mean, it's a bridge ride across the ocean, and then you're in Cebu. Mandaue has a bridge right there, and Cordova has a bridge right here. And to me, this is Cebu City, but it's not, technically not. So when you say Mandaue and Lapu-Lapu and Cordova, they're all within like 5-10 minutes of each other. So Matt Chappelle says heavy traffic. Ming a little better. Getting behind the wheel as a foreigner has many, many pitfalls. Yeah, he asked about that earlier, Matt, and we were talking about the difference between driving a car and a motorcycle and the pros and cons of it. I prefer motorcycle, but I also know that and I mentioned this too, is that more foreigners die on motorcycles. It's the number one cause of death in the Philippines than anything. But me personally, I would rather ride a motorcycle than a car. And yes, taxis are cheap, and taxi as opposed to Grab, even if you Google this, it will say the cheapest mode of taxi choice is a metered taxi. So Saturn says, I researched some really nice subdivision with pools in Talisay area. Lower traffic was the main factor. Guess I should rethink it. Well, I mean, I don't know what traffic is subjective. You know, it depends on where you're from. Like if you're from a really big city like New York or something, I don't think that it's comparable. But yeah, I would. Why not check out like Cordova or Lapu-Lapu or especially Cordova. Cordova is kind of an overlooked kind of piece of paradise. There's a couple of beaches back there that most people don't go to, and the traffic is significantly less than all the other areas. So Matt Chappelle, you're obviously a well-traveled expat here. Sounds like you know the area pretty well. And Marichu says, love Cebu. Yeah, Cebu is amazing. It's phenomenal. It's actually my first time to Cebu. I was more up north when I stayed here before. And I really, really like Cebu. It's got all the options that a big city would have without, you know, some of the hustle and bustle, especially we're on the opposite side of on the CC-Lex bridge on the other side. So, you know, if we want anything, we can just hop on the bridge and go over and do it. But there's also malls here. I mean, where the immigration is on Mactan Island, and it's, you know, 10 minutes away from my apartment. So that was real convenient. And I didn't plan for any of that. I didn't plan for that at all. Mandawi has a lot of traffic. Yeah, it does. It does. Let me get back to Randy's comment. Really not a rainy season here. June is the wettest month, but not a lot different. Just a little colder than April and May. Yeah, I agree, Randy, with the your weather assessment. And, you know, we're coming from the United States, so we experience all the different climates. Whereas here, there's just there's two climates. It's hot, and even the rainy season is still warm, right? So, and Saturn says, what's nice about Davao Sea? Now, Marichu, Randy, is actually from Davao. She's going to be moving back there. She's from the UK, so she's going to be moving back to Davao, where you are, here very soon. So Saturn said, I plan to be shopping at SNR to get that Costco experience until I realize how expensive they are. Yeah, I haven't done it. I just go to, you know, there's a place here called Unitop. It's about 15 minutes away right before you get to Lapu-Lapu. It's technically in Lapu-Lapu. In fact, that's where I filmed my Do Filipinos Believe in Aliens, was right there at the Unitop shopping area. And right there, you can buy anything that you want, and it is cheaper than in a mall. And when we're talking cheaper, I mean, we're talking cents. You know, everything is nothing's really that expensive here. Like I bought my refrigerator. It's a really nice refrigerator for less than $200. And all our pots and pans, you know, were super affordable. Our dishes, you know, expensive. Maybe the more Americanized, westernized things are expensive, but you know, they're selling to people who have the income that, you know, needs to be able to afford things. So those things are in their price range typically. Randy Bryant says, what's nice about Davao City is the largest city in the world, land-wise over 940 square miles. So as you could imagine, whatever you want, you can find here. Yeah, most definitely. And a lot of people love Davao for its safety. That's where Duterte was the mayor, right? And he didn't put up with any of that stuff, so he kind of cleaned house, and it's pretty pretty safe. And in the surrounding areas, like you were saying earlier, Randy, about you drove through some kind of sketchy kind of areas, but once you get past that, Davao, there's foreigners that live there, and they love it. And a lot of the reason why they love it is because there's not as many foreigners. That's one thing I was shocked about Cebu. Like where I lived before, I was the only foreigner, one of the only foreigners in that entire town. And then I come to Cebu, and there's like, they're everywhere. Down in Davao, you're more isolated from that, so you get more of an authentic experience, I think, which is why I like living where I live. I don't want to live in a high-rise condo with a billion different expats. I like living amongst Filipinos. All my neighbors are working class Filipinos, and they're working hard. And where does Robinson's rank in grocery store prices? Saturn asks. Excuse me. When I was here before, I shopped primarily at a Robinson's because I was worried about food safeties and things, and but that was 10 years ago. And when I'm here this time, I haven't even set foot into a Robinson's. I just buy all my fruit and veggies and fish at the market. So as far as grocery prices, well, we did actually go to a Robinson's, and we bought some stuff for Lily's family when we went to the province. And as far as prices go, if you're buying local products and not trying to buy American or Western products, then everything is significantly less, and it's all affordable. So if it depends on your impression of what's expensive. Of course, that's subjective. But as far as Robinson goes, you can get good deals there. You can find products that are more difficult to find, like cheese and things. Cheese is not an easy thing to find sometimes if you don't go to the right place. But Robinson's is pretty affordable. So Randy says, yes, over 20 to 30K were smoked, and they put signs around their head with their crime. Yeah, he doesn't mess around, and he cleaned house for sure. You don't mess around. Marichu says she has a house in Davao that her husband bought, and it's a farm and property. Well, that should be exciting, and that's much more better than the UK, isn't it, Marichu? So that's a blessing for sure. You guys will love having that authentic experience instead of living up there in the UK, which is, like you said, not where you prefer to be. Randy says, of all things, I miss lunch meat until I found a Swiss deli. Yeah, I haven't had a sandwich, and I was a sandwich guy, and I always had my roast beef and my sliced turkey, from Safeway, and my cheese and everything. So I kind of miss that too, but I fill the void like with other things. I like the options, and to me it's weighing the pros and cons. Like some things you can't get on a regular basis, but it's still the Philippines, and it's still amazing. So I'll get something else. That's kind of my attitude towards it. But I sure do enjoy my sandwiches, that's for sure, Randy. And I know that there's options here in Cebu for more deli stuff, but I don't really like going out and looking for them. I fill it up with other things, so I don't know. I bought some steak the other day. I was in Cordova, and there's a little meat market there, and I bought a steak, and I thought, this is probably not going to turn out to be very good. It was a beef steak, and brought it home and cooked it, and it was pretty rubbery, but it was beef, so I was loving that beef taste, but it was pretty chewy. So I haven't found a good source for it here on my side. I know it's all available in Cebu, but I'm not really hard pressed to go looking for it. So JJ says, is it better to stay in hotel and then go and look for a nice place to rent, boots on the ground, or you think Airbnb before you come? Saw a few vids where people didn't get what they expected in an Airbnb. I'm old school, and I'm not really experienced with the Airbnb stuff. That requires, fancy cell phone apps and whatnot, and I don't really. I get confused about all that junk, so I avoid it. But I'll tell you how I did it. JJ is. I did some shopping on Facebook Marketplace, and you can key in the areas that you want to look into, and if you change your location, then you can and you change it to the Philippines, then you can message the landlords, and you can pretty much get places set up. However, they're first come first serve, so they won't want to hold anything for you unless you pay for it first. So that can be an issue. So what I did was I stayed in, I remembered it, Harold's Evotel. That's what it was. And there are a lot of nice hotels in Cebu, but that's the one that I picked, was Harold's Evotel. And once I got here, I stayed for 3 or 4 days and started messaging from places on Facebook Marketplace, and that's how I found my apartment. So that's how I went about it, and it worked out really, really well. So that's an option for you. I think the price, I got a promo for the hotel. It was $30 a day. So $30 a day is what we paid. I ended up spending like about 120, 150 bucks. And also pay for the breakfast in advance, because if you don't and you want to eat breakfast, it'll be like triple the price. So it's not that much difference. So I paid for the breakfast. So yeah, I don't know much about Airbnbs, unfortunately, JJ. So Marichu says she has 3 properties in Davao and hoping soon I'll invite you and your family to come join us and see it soon. That sounds great. I would love to, Marichu. That would be phenomenal. Thank you. JJ says motorcycle is better, car traffic jams and struggling with parking. Yes, I'm a huge proponent of motorcycles. I love them. To me, it's more freeing, and you get stuck in traffic, and the motorcycle, you can cut through all that nonsense. And which is one thing why I wouldn't want to be driving a car, because the motorcycles, they will weave in, how you'll be sandwiched in between 16 motorcycles in a car, and they'll cut right in front of you and everything. So I prefer motorcycle as opposed to driving. Now, granted, I haven't really driven here, but I really don't want to. So Randy says good beef is hard to find, but it's expensive. Yeah, it was relatively expensive for this small little steak that I got, I think. But then, as far as expense goes, I paid like 200 pesos for a steak. So it was about $4, a little bit less than $4, but it wasn't very good. It was, like I said, rubbery, chewy, probably. And I should have marinated it, and helped it out a little bit more, but I just cooked it, so it was rubbery. But if I would have soaked it in some marinade for a few hours, it probably would have been more tender and better to eat, obviously. Marichu says fresh meat and fish from the market, quite cheap than in a mall. Absolutely. If you buy at the Mercado, as they call it here, you get all the stuff, and it's cheaper and fresh. Like if you find the right source, like Majo is saying here, cheaper and more fresh, you find the right source, you can get, somebody who just caught the fish and threw it on the table and is selling it. So, just look at the eyes. If they're red, I like to kind of put my back of my finger on the fish and make sure they're still cold. And if they're cold and the eyes aren't red, then that's time to buy them. Yes. Thank God, Marichu, that you're going to be returning soon. Hey, Elvis. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis had entered the building. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. We're just having a kind of random chat here. We went from talking about, we've talked about it all already. Now we're just, kind of shooting the crud and talking about beef and all different kinds of things. But welcome to the chat. It's good to see you, buddy. And thanks for smashing the like button. Your like button must be in pieces by now for all the smashing you do. Randy he says, I have a motorcycle license. Nice. Yeah. Motorcycles are awesome. They're, freeing, wind in your hair, all that stuff. But just make sure you don't get caught by the LTO for not wearing the proper gear, and you're good. It's not giving me the option to hit the like. Oh no. Well, no sweat. I don't know how to guide you through it though. I'm on this live and I don't see any of that. I see the count of people, and then it says, yeah, I don't know how to guide you through it. If it doesn't give you the option, then oh well, no sweat. Randy says, I have my motorcycle license and I've been on iron butt rides to Sturgis and Daytona Bike Week and rode through Yellowstone, but won't ride here. You've seen people kill. Oh yeah, I think I saw that you, hey, Mr. Passport King, nice to see you. No, Elvis asks, do you need a motorcycle endorsement on USA license to rent a bike here in the Philippines? Nope, you don't. I only have a regular Class C, I think it is, driver's license for cars in the United States. And I went right to a place and rented a motorcycle. As long as you have your driver's license, then you're good to go. So no sweat on that. And when I was here before, I bought a motorcycle, and yeah, it. I think I lost connection there for a sec. Sorry. Insurance. Well, it depends on who you rent from. They might have a deposit. I know that I contacted a few places that I wanted to rent from, and they wanted, some kind of, they wanted you to leave your ID with them or something. But I found a place that just rented it to me, and what I did with the owner was we took pictures of any damage that was on the bike, and then when I returned the bike, we evaluated the bike, and if there was any damage, then we paid for it, which there wasn't. So, yeah, it was no problem. I didn't have any issues with that. But I know that if you look online, the varying companies have different kind of rules for that. But you can find one that doesn't have any insurance costs. Mr. Passport, I'm on my phone. Mr. Passport King says, I'm on my phone, and if I close the live chat window, I see the like button. Then you can reopen the chat window. Hey, so that's for Elvis, who is trying to smash the like. So, by the way, Mr. Passport King has a YouTube channel, guys, and so does Majo Travel. Majo Travel has a YouTube channel. It's pretty exciting. He does a lot of walkthroughs and food reviews and things, and just in general, good information. He's a real upbeat guy, and check him out. Mr. Passport King, I just actually subscribed to his channel recently. So give those guys a look and see if you like their content. If so, subscribe. They're nice guys and they're very supportive and they're sharing a lot of good, valuable content. That's the thing too. There's a lot of drama going on YouTube right now between some of the bigger vloggers, and they're having problems. Did you hear YouTube changed to 500 subs and 3,000 hours for monetization? I did not hear that. I don't know if that's true. If that's true, then it would have to have happened like today or yesterday. I'm pretty obsessed with it, so I go to my analytics probably 30 times a day. Like if I'm looking at my video counts and stuff, I click that about every 30 minutes or so just to see. But no, I didn't hear that they changed those regulations, because I know the 1,000 and the 4,000 is relatively. It didn't used to be that way, so that was a new change too. But hey, right on. So Majo just subbed to Passport King. That's great. So Passport King just kind of started. All three of us. Passport King's relatively new. I know I'm only 3 months, and Majo's just 3 months or so too. So we're all relatively new. That would be great if they lowered the bar for monetization. Use my phone sideways. I was doing that, and I'm really, really inept at all this technological kind of stuff. I was doing my phone sideways, and my subscribers were telling me that all my videos were small, and they told me I needed to do portrait size. So once I started doing portrait size, nobody said anything about it. I know if you want to do shorts, YouTube wants them to be portrait, horizontal or vertical. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And sorry, I forgot about Randy. Randy is also a vlogger, and he posts some really good content. He's got an interesting situation, you guys. His channel showcases his American family. So he's not married to a Filipina. He's married to an American woman. She's really nice. And he brought his sons and his wife to the Philippines. And now one of his sons and his wife, they went back to take care of some things. But Randy is also a YouTuber, and he gives good advice for foreigners that want to move to the Philippines. So check out Randy's channel too. I'm sorry, Randy, I didn't mean to not mention you there. Randy's a new vlogger too, and he's growing like weeds. I mean, he's already in 1,000 plus, and but he's got a unique situation, and it's pretty interesting to follow. Because most guys that come here, they're have a different kind of situation, but his situation is really unique. So check out Randy's channel too. It's great to follow. He's a good guy. He's been very supportive too. So sorry about not mentioning you in that list, Randy. He drives a white van and passes out candy. Yeah, Randy's channel blew up. He hit that benchmark really, really fast. So, he's got some good things to say too. So check him out. And that's what I was about to say is a lot of these guys on YouTube, I went to this meet and greet, and I met some really, really famous YouTubers. And some of them were extremely friendly and helpful, and others were just really tight-lipped. And I don't know if you guys follow certain YouTubers out there, but there's a big drama going on between, and they're making videos back and forth. And turns out that several of those people that were at that meet and greet are the ones that are doing it. So I'm trying to stay out of it, because I was about to do a interview. I was scheduled to go do an interview with one of these big vloggers just the other day, and I guess I was on the wrong side of the fence, according to them, and they canceled on me. But that was, not even my fault. So a lot of this YouTube war that's going on is just ridiculous. Like Randy Bryant and Majo and Passport King and these guys have all been really respectful and helpful. We help each other out, and I think that's the way it should be. That's why I made that video. The truth about vloggers in the Philippines was in regards to my experience, how I was going to go on one of these big channels, and a big channel probably would have really helped my subscriber count. But then they thought that I was on the other side of the fence, which I'm neutral. I just met all these people. I don't have a dog in this race, and there's no fight going on, and I don't have a side. But they thought that I did, and they decided not to interview me. So whatever, who cares? But Randy's been talking about networking and doing some kind of meet and greet type stuff. But he'll never serve the Kool-Aid. Well, that's good. The best market for in Cebu to go to? Oh my goodness, there's so many. There's that one that's off of, I want to say it's on Colon Street. It's real popular. But you have to remember, Elvis, that I live on the other side of the ocean. So separating me between Cebu City is about a 10-minute drive. So I only shop on this side if I'm going to be getting my veggies and stuff. So it just depends on where you live. But there's a market. There's usually like a market serving every barangay in the immediate area. I don't really know Cebu City because in Lapu-Lapu. Well, I'm about 10 minutes past Lapu-Lapu. So my barangay is Bao, and that's, like I said, about 10 minutes away from Lapu-Lapu. But there's some great markets in Lapu-Lapu. But here in Bao, there's right by the CCLX bridge. That's where we go all the time. Get our fresh fish and our fresh vegetables right there. So, yeah. But I mean, as long as you can tell if the veggies are fresh, and then the fish, as long as they don't have red eyes and obviously no obvious signs, and they're still cold, then it's fresh. So yeah, but that's why I made that video about vloggers in the Philippines, is because I think we all need to help each other out. So, it's like there's a huge pie, so why not give each other a piece? But I think that, a good idea that for vloggers is if they do, live chats together and post, each other's videos. That's a good way to get more attention to each other's channels. Elvis asks, have I done any island hopping? No, we went to Talisay, but as I was saying before, my wife's pregnant, so we want to get some of that done before she gets to the point where she's too pregnant to travel. So we were going to go to Davao and maybe meet Randy, but then I discovered that it's a 22-hour ferry ride. But we're thinking about going to Masbate and checking that out. And then we're also going to maybe go to Bohol. So real soon. Randy went to a few islands in search of the Krusty Krab. Yeah. That was funny because, you know, um, a part of Mindanao is my wife from. She's from a place called Iligan City. And she has kind of some crazy tales. Like the rebels were in her area, and this was, about 10 years ago. And they lived in that area there, or that's where she was born, and they lived in that general area. But there would be times when the rebels would be in the general vicinity, and they would come to her barangay, and they would demand people's rice and food from them. And they would get word that the rebels were coming, and they would have to hide in the jungle because the rebels were coming. So it wasn't a very safe area for her, and they got tired of it, so they saved up money to get a ferry, and they came to Cebu City. It was about 8 or 10 years ago. Marichu, what happened in America? Lots of homeless people in the city. So really sad. I tell you, I own a property in a small rural town, and I lived there for many, many years. And then when my relationship fell apart, I had to move to the bigger city, and I couldn't believe it. The city that I was born in was a relatively it was a big city, but it still had that small town feel, and it was really safe. And when I arrived with a carload full of stuff, I was planning to stay in a hotel. I didn't even want to stay in the hotel because there was crackheads, or it's not crack anymore. It's the meth head and the fentanyl. I didn't even want to get out of my car, let alone leave, stay in a hotel and have, my car load full of things. It's a nightmare. The crime and the drugs and everything is just out of hand. Yeah, there's homeless cities, like I showed in my 10 reasons why Filipinos should not move to the United States. The tent cities have taken over Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, Medford, Oregon, Eugene, Portland, Seattle, all of it. The whole West Coast side that I grew up in is just destroyed with homelessness and drugs and crime. And I dread ever having to go back there, which I know I'm going to have to go back there and make money soon, with this baby coming and stuff. But I only have to go back once, and then I go back for 3 or 4 months, and then I'm done. I never ever have to go back there again. So, yeah. So Elvis asks, is that over by, I don't know, Elvis. I don't know that area very well, but I do know that it's on the island of Mindanao, and it wasn't very safe. But unfortunately, sorry, dude, I don't know that area well enough. And Randy says Philadelphia. Let me scroll back up. Philadelphia. I don't know what Philadelphia. That's where you're from? Is Philadelphia? I thought you had a farm or something. I don't know if you guys can hear the frogs or not, but they're going crazy out there. They sound like donkeys. Ow, ow. My gimbal's getting low bat here. That's crazy. I'm already 2 hours and 28 minutes into this chat. I didn't think that I'd be rocking and rolling this long. That's cool. But looks like my gimbal's running low, so I'll probably have to get off here pretty soon. But yeah, it's been. Do you have health care? I don't. Unfortunately, I have. I'm kind of a rebel kind of dude. I haven't been to a doctor since I was 28 years old, so I don't really trust doctors, and I avoid them. But no, I don't have any health insurance. I know that I experienced, a health crisis, not myself, but a person that I used to know. She had a health crisis, and we had to do that whole process. So it wasn't fun. Um, but yeah, like Randy says, yeah. Oh, Randy says self insurance is cheaper. So I know a lot of guys do that. They insure themselves, and it works out pretty well. Maybe you guys can talk. Maybe Randy can say something. Randy has a video on healthcare there, which I actually watched. So check that one out. He'll give you some valuable tips on it. So you have a farm in Indiana, but Philadelphia is like a city full of zombies due to drugs. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Philadelphia is all, and Chicago, and all those places are just destroyed. And the drugs is like, that's the true pandemic in my mind. Is the drugs. And how are they ever going to get a hold on that? They're doing absolutely nothing to. So the future is pretty dismal. I don't think it's going to get any better in that regard. Marichu says that was before in Iligan, and Fury responded and said Iligan has Muslims. From what your partner told, south of Iligan is Marawi. Yeah. Check it out, Elvis. He's got some good info on his channel for that area for sure, and just for Philippines in general. What you'll see, the theme. What people talk about in the Philippines is kind of the same kind of stuff. Oh, okay. So Mr. Passport King just chimed in with some information about the YouTube. Ad revenue sharing is still 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours, or 10 million short views. Shopping, super chats, stickers, and thanks are 500 subs, 3,000 watch hours, or 3 million short views. I didn't hear that, but I don't even know what shopping, super chats, stickers, and thanks and all that stuff even do. But so I've already reached those plateaus. I could do that, whatever. Are you going to start doing more live streams? I'll try it. If it's something that people like. This is only my second one, and I like how some people do it. They have a theme, and then they just kind of talk about that, and they stick to that kind of theme. But it seems like people want to talk about whatever they want to talk about. So this has been fun. I'll probably continue to do the live streams on occasion. Maybe I'll make it a regular thing once a week. And I just did this one spontaneous. I should probably set it up, and post, upcoming live stream time. So let's see here. Are you going to? Oh, wow! Entire America. Wow, so sad. Yeah, Marichu, the United States is not good as far as all those things. Watch that video that I told you about, 10 reasons why Filipinos should not move to the United States. Randy says there are YouTube videos about the Philippine Army fighting. Yeah, it's going on right now. Yeah, America is full of homelessness. It's a huge problem. We are alike a lot. No doctors unless you're close to dying. Not into technology either. Do all old school. I'm a basic. I'm a basic dude. I don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. That's the old saying, but it's true. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And no doctors. Well, some of my favorite YouTubers aren't really Philippines based, but I like the Hodgkin twins. I watch a lot of their stuff. Matt Walsh. I I enjoy, in fact, Andrew Tate. I like his stuff. But as far as Philippines YouTubers, I haven't really gotten into a lot of them. I watch a lot of Living Abroad, which is his name's Alex, and I met Alex. Now he's a really, really nice guy, genuine person. Had a lot of good advice for me. I talked to him for over an hour. He came up to me. He's like, "Did we meet before?" And he actually recognized me from YouTube, a small YouTuber, but he recognized me. He'd seen some of my videos on YouTube. So he had a lot of great advice for me, and his channel is huge. He's got like 80, I think he's up to like 85,000 subscribers now. And he's the one who does all the street interviews with foreigners and Filipina right here in Cebu. So I enjoy watching his stuff. It's kind of fun. And yeah, Alex from Canada. Yeah, that's the dude. I met him, and super duper nice guy. I met Sunshine Shoulders, and he actually invited me onto his live stream. And Sunshine Shoulders was a really nice guy. And it's like with all these YouTubers, some YouTubers, they have a lot of great things to say, and then sometimes they don't. And that's the controversy. I was trying to avoid talking about this, but that's the controversy I got mixed up in. So people saw me on Sunshine Shoulders live stream, and then they kind of took that as though that we're best friends or good buddies or whatever. Which he's a nice guy. He's great, really, really friendly to me and stuff. But he does say some things that I don't always necessarily agree with. And but then he says phenomenal things. If you watch Sunshine Shoulders, he's like a philosopher. He's like he's got some really, really great things to say. He's really smooth in his delivery, insightful. But then, there are other things that he will say that I don't agree with at all. So that's the thing with YouTubers, you take everything that they have to say, but don't fully, believe everything. But no. So I got kind of mixed up in that one, and that's why they kind of canceled me from doing the other interview, because I guess I was on the wrong side of the fence in their mind. So I watched Sunshine Shoulders because he's got a lot of good things to say, but then like I said, he's also got some things that I don't like. Q Adventures, I met him also, and I plugged him on a video. He's a nice guy. He does kind of, some good stuff. He blew up recently. He met that girl up in the province, and everybody loved her. And now he's went from like 3,000 subs to upwards of almost 8,000 now. So really nice guy. He actually, if you're going to rent a motorbike, I'm just going to plug him. If you're going to rent a motorbike in Cebu, go to Q Adventures, because he has a motorcycle rental business right here in Cebu. So, and he's a straight up guy. Check out him if you want to rent a motorbike. So he'll give you a good deal. So Q Adventures, his name's Derek. He's a really nice guy. I met him also face to face, and he's nice. So I watch him a little bit. But Top G, we're Top G, man, the woke people. He's got a lot of great things to say. I like watching his stuff. I do. Yes, Marichu. America is not the land that it used to be. That's for sure. But that's why you're going to come to the Philippines, and you don't have to experience any of that junk anymore, right? So, yes. So anyways, I think that I'm going to, I'll schedule another live. I'll put it up on my community tab, and I'm not sure what today is. That's the beauty of living in the Philippines. I don't even really keep tabs on the calendar. But what is today? I don't know, but I'll schedule it, coming up here, and I'll try to do it more on a regular basis. And maybe Randy and Majo and Passport Bro and stuff, we could do like a live where we get together. And thanks, Elvis. Yeah, I appreciate your involvement and your comments and questions. It kept it going here, and thanks a lot. And look forward to talking to you soon. So let's just plan on doing this again sometime soon. And remember, I started this, with the theme, and but the Philippines was a gift from God to me to come here, and I'm just living in the blessings of it all, and make sure that I just keep my focus on Him, and I keep my life in alignment with it. So thank you for watching. You take care, everybody. Have a great evening as well. And thanks, Majo. And we'll talk about it more, back and forth, and we'll schedule something that we can do it together, because this was fun. So God bless everybody, and have a great night. We'll see you soon.